that time again. We are going to be talking about my top 10 fall palettes, and this time around I picked 10 palettes that have come into my collection in 2024 and that I'm really excited to use this fall. I feel like these have all come out like throughout the year from the beginning up till now, and this is really the time to get these out. These are just perfect color stories for fall. So let's get into it. Alright, the first palette that I want to mention is actually a summer palette. I believe it's a limited edition palette, but I think this is still available. And this is the GlossGods Let's Get Nude eyeshadow palette. This is really like a late summer up until fall kind of color story and palette, because it's very kind of like warm toned, but it also has kind of like these more grungy, maroony, like deepening up shades. You can go like different ways, but I feel like kind of like this warm bronzy vibe, and then with the multichrome that shift, like this one shifts a little green. I feel like there is really nice fall eyeshadow looks that you can do with this. Like, of course you can make it a little bit more summery, but if you go a little deeper, if you go a little like more into these tones, I think it's perfect for this season. Can't wait to dip into this one again. I really like this one. I think this is great quality, beautiful shimmers, really easy to use mattes. I feel like this is a great like fall neutral palette, but with a twist. Like there's something else going on here. It's very fun. It's a little different. I love what GlossGods does with their neutral palettes. This palette I feel like is so perfect for this time of year. I mean, it came out in the spring, but it really gives me fall vibes. This is the Lunar Beauty Moonshroom eyeshadow palette. This really has those earthy tones. It has those deepening up shades. It has those different like greeny, purpley, maroony, teal shades. Like it has the color that I think of when I think of fall, when I'm not thinking about really like those warmer neutrals. I feel like this is such a beautiful palette. The quality is great. I love Lunar Beauty eyeshadow formulas. Like the shimmers are beautiful, very reflective. This one, Magic Mushroom, is really like this very special shifty shade. Gorgeous to top over a look. I think there are so many different options in here. I was kind of like, is it gonna work for me? Like I do love my like fresher, cooler tones, but because of the way this is laid out and the different undertones that you have in this palette, I feel like you can really do a lot of looks that cool tone lovers also will enjoy. Like I have done a lot of looks with this that I really love. This is such a beautiful palette. Perfect to grab out in the fall time. And then next up, this is the Kiko Milano Gloss Supreme Gloss Dome Multifinish eyeshadow palette. This is in 01 Over Earth Reflections, and this is from their most recent collection that has a lot of like glossy products in it. By the time I'm filming this, I haven't done my roundup review, like makeup updates yet, but I think that will probably go up before this, so then I will have updated you on this. But I have used it enough to review this. Like not all of the palettes that I'm talking about today I have fully used all the shades, but this one I have, and this is such a beautiful palette. I really love it when Kiko Milano does this type of formula. The mattes are a little powdery, but they're really blendable, buildable, easy to use, and the shimmers are really nice and sparkly. I really love the tones of shimmers in here. This one is kind of like a fall palette with a pop of lilac. Like the lilac doesn't fully give me the fall vibes, but these kind of like rosy, mauve mattes and shimmers I think are great for this time of year. Like I would wear these all year round, to be honest, but I feel like this gives me kind of like that warmish look, warmish eye look without being like truly warm. It's like a little bit of a rosy mauve, a very interesting undertone that I don't see a lot, but I really love wearing. Like this one I'm very excited to use more. Alright, this one I've only done 2 looks with so far, but I do have to mention it. First up, the packaging is just amazing. This is the Nomad Fuji 5 Lakes eyeshadow palette, and I will link the videos on these palettes down below. I will try and give you as much information in the description box. I will try and link everything. This is just such a beautiful palette. So far I've swatched it, I've done 2 looks, and I just feel like they did a great job with this. This is a fall palette without being like to like specifically those fall murky tones. I feel like this is still very fresh. I feel like this is still very cool toned. Like not all of the shades here are cool toned, don't get me wrong. Like these yellows are pretty warm, and this burning bush shade is also pretty like neutral warmish red, but you can do really cool tone looks with this. You can do colorful looks that are a little bit toned down. All in all, I feel like this is a fall palette with a really fresh take and really fresh colors, and this is just my type of fall palette. Like the front of it says it all. Like it's a light blues, it is the kind of like water tones, but you still have the leaves, but then like the version of the leaves where they are very bright and fresh and like this fresh red shade. So far, I think the quality is really amazing. Everything swatched well. Everything that I have used so far on the eyes worked really well. This is not a review, but I am very excited to have a fall palette that is just a little different than what I'm used to. And then I have here 2 palettes from the Icon series from Makeup Revolution. There are 4 palettes in this series, but I feel like these ones are the ones that scream fall to me the most. The other ones are a little bit more cool toned. I would maybe say like the Smoky palette is more winter, and then the Ethereal one is more like spring summer. I love both of those, by the way. I think those are maybe my favorites, but these are the fall ones, so we're talking about these now. All right, so this one is murky greens with maroon tones with some like neutral in there as well. Like this is a very murky palette. We have some different shimmer formulas in here. We have 2 cream shadows. My verdict on these cream shadows is if you take a little on a finger and blend that out, it will stay. Like even on my oily eyelids, it will be more like a cream to powder formula. It will stay on the eyes. If I pick these up with a brush and just put it on pretty thickly, it's gonna crease. So it kind of depends how you use them, but overall I think this is a great cream formula. It really has restored my faith in cream eyeshadows. Like before, I felt like cream eyeshadows are not for me, but I feel like there are some formulas that are for me. There are different formulas, as I said, in shimmers. Like this one is very shimmery. This one is very shimmery. This is kind of like a cream eyeshadow as well. But these are a little bit more of a satin. I feel like you can really like layer those shimmers to get the impact that you want. I think this is a great formula. I think Revolution did a great job with these Icon palettes. Like it's easy to use, it's easy to blend. You can build up the shades, especially when you use these as a base. It's so beautifully blended. It's like my favorite way to use this, like use a base, and you can also use this one as a liner, for example, but it really intensifies. And I think this is a great quality palette, and it's very affordable as well, pretty easy to get a hold of. I feel like it's available on a lot of websites. I'll link it down below, and also just the color story is amazing. Then we also have this one. This is, by the way, this one is called the Eternal Icon. I don't know, sometimes I just don't say any names. I'm just like this palette and that lipstick. And all right, the next one, this one is the True Icon. This is a dupe of Petrita Major Dimensions, if I'm not mistaken. Has gone semi-viral or kind of viral. Like I see a lot of people talking about this and comparing it. This is a kind of like mauve but also warm toned neutral eyeshadow palette. The thing that I love the most about this palette is the shimmers. These shimmers are so beautiful, very impactful, very like multicolored shimmers. They are just very shiny on the eye. I love like this quad here, like that is so up my alley, kind of like those mauve tones. Once again, we have some base shades that you can use, like these creams. This is a great palette. It's really kind of like in the realm of Let's Get Nude by GlossGods. Just this very warm and toasty and cozy neutral palette. And I just feel like I haven't talked about these palettes a lot since I first tried them. But these will be in my new makeup updates as well. And I've been really enjoying them. This is a great formula. Makeup Revolution, like some of their things that I've tried this year have been amazing. Next up, I have here a newer palette in my collection as well. This is the Beauty Bay Botanical palette. This one is only like 18 euros, I believe, 19 euros. And this is just such a versatile fall, yet still very like neutral cool toned in the undertones palette. Whew, that was a sentence. So it gives me fall, but I can really easily get a lot of cool tone looks out of this that I really enjoy and find really flattering on myself. These grays here, this quad, so beautiful. I've done such a beautiful look with that. Loved that. But also kind of like this row over here. We have a beautiful shimmer here called Waterfall. It's really shifty. There's just so much going on here. I feel like we also have like beautiful rosy tones here. Like I can see so many things with this. It all makes sense, but there are so many like options and shades. It's a versatile palette, while being very user-friendly. I really love the formulas in here. The mattes are really nice, buildable, blendable. Haven't had any issues with those. The shimmers are beautiful as well. This is a great palette. I would highly recommend it. Also for the price, like, this is so affordable. I cannot wait to do more looks. Like I've already done so many looks with this, but I can't wait to do more. Alright, more new palettes. I feel like the past few months, so many kind of like pre-fall palettes have come out, and so many good colors, sorry. So next up I have here the CoolTrals by Cosmic Beauty. This is from a launch, also with another palette that I'm going to be talking about in a minute. This is a cool toned, kind of neutral, but also kind of colorful eyeshadow palette. It's not really neutral, but we have kind of like the mauve tones in here as well. But there are also like some grays, some silvers, some softer blues. Like my favorite way to wear blue is kind of like these softer tones, almost a little bit lilac-y undertone, kind of like cornflower blue, maybe a little gray mixed in. I think that is so beautiful. This was my first time trying Cosmic Beauty and I was blown away. This is such a beautiful palette, and I also feel like the price of this is very fair. The shimmers in here are stunning. The mattes in here work really well. Very blendable, very buildable, and there's just so many options in here. Once again, I feel like I can do many different things with this, but it all makes sense. I really love the addition of the shade Crave. I feel like it's so beautiful in the inner corner. I can do like a really nice kind of like neutral look. I can go either way and I really enjoyed it. And I just feel like these type of kind of like softer blues, slightly murky tones, but not really in the warm direction, are really nice for fall as well, especially if you love cool tones. Like fall doesn't only have to be warm tones. And then next up, as I said, the NudeTrals by Cosmic Beauty. This is a fall palette through and through. This is so warm, juicy, delicious. It's neutral, but we have some pops of kind of like greens. We have some mustardy tones. We have these kind of like warmer mauves that I think are really beautiful. I used these in my first impression. I was blown away. Loved it so much. Like these are some of my favorite tones in this palette. I feel like this is such a beautiful, once again, neutral palette with a twist. It's like, yes, it's neutral, but it's different. It's a little bit more interesting. It's a little bit more like bedazzled, because like the shimmers are so beautiful. You have some shades that are kind of like, they fit together very well with these warm neutrals, but they are not in themselves warm neutrals, and that's also why I like this palette. I am not really into warm neutrals all that much, but I feel like because we have so many options, it doesn't have to be like this all the time. And also the addition of this chic shade, I feel like makes it very wearable for me. I love this type of shade. I love a really light matte that is very pigmented, and if it's a light pink, I'm like, I loved it. I love a light pink matte in a palette. I've done so many looks with this. I actually did a look only a couple of days ago with chic and with neutral, and I think I used a little bit of touch as well. Put that in the crease as a base, and it's just, I don't know, it's just, it feels next level while they are basically like neutral mattes, just neutral mattes. But I love that look. I will like put it on the screen. I did use a liquid eyeshadow by Catrice, so the shimmer isn't from this palette, but this is just so beautiful. I love reaching for this. It feels very inspiring to me. By the way, I also love the packaging of both of these palettes. And then the last palette, I feel like this is so cozy. This is so fall vibes, and it's also such good quality. So this is the Glaminatrix Cosmetics Barely Basic palette. It is a bigger palette with like quite a few shades, but I've gone through this palette. I've been trying this palette. I was ready to review this super quickly. Like I've been trying these, and I've had a lot of fun with it. So we have a row of iridescent shimmers, then we have kind of like just very sparkly metallic shimmers, and then we have different depths of certain like color families. So we have these cool tone shades, we have these murky greens. These are not shades that I'm gonna use for like the whole look. Like I'm not gonna do a full murky green look, but I did mix it in a little bit in my first impression. Really loved that. We have these warmer tones that are actually not that warm. I was expecting them to be a little orange. I was a little scared that they were gonna be a little orange, but they pull on me quite kind of like reddish warm, and that is what I prefer when I use a warmer shadow on the lid. I feel like that matches the best with my skin tone and my eye color. And then we have these mauve tones. I also did a look 2 days ago, I think, with this. Really enjoyed it. These shimmers are beautiful. The mattes work really well. It all just feels so cohesive. It feels so inspiring. And the quality, the packaging, the vibes, the names. This is immaculate. I've had a lot of fun with it. And I really, really want to continue using this. Glaminatrix is one of my favorite indie eyeshadow formulas. One of my favorite formulas in general in my collection. If you didn't know that, I'm a huge fan of Glaminatrix. By the way, they're also re-releasing their Rich Romantic palettes, one of my favorite palettes in my collection. Just so you know, it's coming back and the packaging is a little updated. Alright, these are gonna be my 10 palettes that I'm really, really excited to use this coming fall. Let me know what palettes you are excited to buy or to grab once again out of your collection and do looks with in this season. Love to hear from you, and then we'll see you in my next one. Bye bye!